Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Hey, today I wanted to make a video to compare some devices. So if you've watched any of my previous videos, you know that I have a plethora of e-ink devices and even other tablets such as iPad Pro and iPad Mini. And I wanted to, I swap between these devices very frequently. There's something about each one of them that I love and really don't want to get rid of any of them. Typically in my past, I'd buy a device, become enamored with it, sell whatever I had previously to pay for it. And here lately I've decided, hey, only, for the YouTube channel, it would be advantageous to have, several to be able to compare. And that's what I want to do today. So I do swap between the devices a lot, between each one of them. The list is, I've got a iPad Pro M4 11-inch. I've got Boox Note Max, Boox Note Air 4C, Supernote Manta, and the Remarkable Paper Pro. I've also got the Remarkable 2 and the Kindle Scribe, but I'm not going to put those in the comparison today. So what I thought would be interesting to do, I would love to be able to settle on one device. And I say that I'm not really sure that I would want to settle on one device, but I really thought, going into this comparison, I thought I knew which one would take my top spot, and that did not occur. So I want to tell you how I did this comparison. So it's all based on my use case, and I'll tell you what that is. So I am a heavy note taker. In my job, I'm mostly in an office environment, 4 to 5 meetings a day, taking notes in each one of those 4 to 5 meetings. So that adds up a lot over the course of a week, a month, and a year. And I have been using a 5,300 page hyperlinked PDF just dedicated to notes, dedicated to journaling, dedicated to to-do list to be able to do that. The PDF works great on all of the devices. There's some hiccups on some that are not present on others. And I'll mention that when I get into the video, get into the comparison. But I do swap between the devices a lot. And, I always think, can I make this one my primary device, my only device? If I had to give up everything else, could I make this my device? And one of them always kind of rises to the top. If push comes to shove, there's always one that is the one that I think I would fall back on. So when I did this comparison, I've got 17 different categories that are important to me. Maybe it'll resonate with some of you. Maybe these are some of the things that are important to you if you're a heavy note taker. But there are some other things that I either I would want a device to be able to do, or I would carry a secondary device to be able to do some of those things. So I'll point that out in the video as well. So these 17 categories are things that are important to me. And I've ranked these things from 1 to 5, and lower is better. So if a device scores a 1, that means it's in the #1 spot in that category. If it scores a 5, it means that it's the last place in that category. So at the end of the video, I'm going to sum up each one of these 17 categories. And the 17th one is actually subjective. I just call it joy to use. So, how much pleasure does it bring me to use that device? And I know that sounds kind of creepy, but how much pleasure does it bring you to use that device? And that's totally subjective. It's my opinion, and yours may vary. But so I'm going to rank these things with that 17th category and without that 17th category. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to show you where I thought they would have ranked, or where I would have ranked them prior to doing the ranking. So without further ado, let's get to it. So let's start off with a hardware look and feel. So, I think that there are some very premium looking devices in every single one of these devices that I've got here. I will say that, you've got, gosh, the Supernote Manta. I mentioned in my previous video that my initial impression from watching other people's videos was that the Manta was a cheaper looking device. The Note Air 4C, it's a very premium device. Love the look and the feel of that. It's a little bit heavier. Remarkable Paper Pro is, I've heard it described, and I agree with this. I've heard it described that if Apple were to make an e-ink device from a hardware standpoint, that's probably what it might turn out looking like. And then, of course, the iPad Pro. Apple devices, as I just mentioned, are always very premium. And then we've got the 13-inch Note Max, which is just a beautiful device. So wonderful hardware on each one of those things. So I wanted to reveal, I'm just going to do it all at one time. Just delete all of the white on top of that. And the way that I ranked it was this. The Supernote Manta, despite my previous I guess, bias against it. I spent a week with it this week traveling. I had to fly to Dallas, Texas, and I spent 4 days out there using the Manta exclusively. And I got to tell you just how light and thin it is. It's a joy to use. You know, gosh, the half folio doesn't add any kind of weight to it, and it's just so thin and so light that it's just incredible. It took top spot for me as far as that goes. The Remarkable Paper Pro took my second place spot on this. You know, the Remarkable Paper Pro is just it's a beautiful device. You know, it's got the edges that are supposed to emulate, and I've got it in the case. I've got all of these in the case right now, but it's supposed to emulate a stack of papers, and you know, just the way that it's built. And gosh, some people complain about the backlight. I think the backlight is absolutely perfect. You don't need it when the room is bright, but when you get into any kind of a dim room whatsoever, the light doesn't blast your eyes. It's just perfect. It's absolutely perfect. So the Remarkable Paper Pro took my second spot there. The iPad, you got to know that the iPad was going to be in this mix somewhere because gosh, I know it's not an e-ink screen, and it's probably, some may say it's not fair to put this into the comparison, but you know, I do use this as a note-taking device at times, and I've got a specific note use case for this that I'll talk about later in the comparison. But the iPad is just it's an incredible piece of hardware in every way, shape, or form. It's probably not the best thing to write on, and it causes eye strain. I know all that because it's not an e-ink screen, but it came in third place. And then the Note Max came in fourth. I love the Note Max. It's a beautiful piece of hardware. It's so thin and it's so big. The only thing I'm not crazy about is the big side part over here. And the fact that they made it very square. I wish it had been more like the Remarkable and more tall than wide. But I still love it. It's a great device. It's a little clunky, but it's a great device if you're going to use it on the desk and just, or even sometimes I'll prop it up with the case and read on it in 2-column mode on, in Kindle. And that's a great experience as well. So fantastic device there. And then in the fifth place slot, and I hate to even say fifth place, that you give it to the Note Air 4C, but I mean, because all of these are very premium devices and all of them are, worthy to be, they're going to be number one on somebody's list somewhere. It was just very difficult to rank them, but that's, given the comparison of all five, that's how I would rank them. So moving to the covers, let me look at this real quick. We will unveil that. So I also ranked the Supernote Manta cover, which is what we're looking at right here, as my number one cover. And I do so because the way that it attaches, it's actually a physical attachment via those hooks. I'm not going to take it off in the video, but you literally unlatch this and then it's got a series of hooks here and a hook on each end that attaches this cover to the side, and it makes it to where you don't need a back cover at all. And it's just a great experience. So I ranked that number one. Remarkable Paper Pro, it came in two as far as that goes. I am not using the Remarkable branded cover. I'm using a Kodak cover. The Remarkable covers I felt like were just way too expensive. This was about 20 or 30 bucks on Amazon. It still functions. It's still got the flap that'll hold the pen in place. It's still got the indentation on the back for that flap to go into so that it doesn't rock when it's on your desk. it just fits in there very nicely. But that's a Kodak case from Amazon. I just love the look and the feel of this. It's very close to the Remarkable cover. I did buy one of those to begin with, and I took it back because I just couldn't stomach the price on that. 3, I did the iPad, so these first ones are ranking kind of the same way. I use an iPad case that's very similar. Every case that I've got either has a flap to cover and protect the pen, or in the case of the number 4 spot on this, the Note Air 4C, I got a little doodad off of Amazon that it looks like a, whoops, I'm rocking my video. It looks like a, like a little leather thing, but it just sticks onto the case and it holds the pen and does it very nicely. But I love this particular case that I got for the Note Air 4C. It allows you to charge with the case on. It's got, places for the speakers. And then I did something similar for the 5th place, which was the Note Max. I also got one of those little pin loops. This one I got in black so that it would match the cover a little bit closer. And it's also the same. This cover, I mentioned earlier, you can put it into tint mode and you can, fire up Kindle or whatever, and the news or whatever website you might be looking at. And you can view that website via that, sitting on the couch very nicely. All right, so the 3rd category is pens or stylus. So let's go ahead and reveal this. What did I do wrong? I lassoed it, sorry. So on this, I gave the iPad the number 1 spot, and I really couldn't see any other stylus or any other pen beating the iPad Pro, and with the Apple Pencil Pro, only because of the ability to all the ability that it gives you. For instance, I can write, and then I can just squeeze it and erase. And it's just and you can program that to come up with any different function that you want to make it come up with. It's just a joy to use. There's no flipping over for an eraser. There's no having to go hit a toolbar. It's just squeeze to erase, and you're good to go. That is a frictionless experience that I felt like it deserved the number 1 spot. The number 2 spot I gave to the Supernote Manta only because of the Heart of Metal 2 pen that I ordered for this one. I love the ceramic nib on this, and the writing feel when combined with the Supernote is just it's an unbeatable experience that really makes writing a pleasure. So that one came in the 3rd spot. The Remarkable Paper Pro, I would say, is a very close 3rd, and it's a device that I love to write on. I guess I'll do my password off camera, but it's really a joy to write on. This the stylus that they give for this that has the eraser on the back, it's the premium one. It's weighted very well. It's balanced very well. I love the feel of the writing experience on the Remarkable Paper Pro. The eraser works really good, and it's just a very satisfying experience to write with this. In the number 4 spot, I gave the Note Max. Really, I tied the Note Max and the Note Air 4C only because I'm not enamored with the styluses that they give you, that Notes gives you. These are very basic, no eraser, and I know you don't need the eraser because you got scribble to erase, or some might argue that, but I just think this is it's really a cheap feeling stylus, and it's really not worthy of the device that it ships with. So I put both of those. I didn't give a number 5, I just tied for number 4. As a matter of fact, on my Note Air 4C, I'm actually using a Kindle Scribe Premium stylus that I like better than the one that I'm using with the Boox Note Max. So for screen quality, let's go ahead and look at this. Hopefully I didn't erase or undo anything below it. Screen quality, of course, the iPad is going to win hands down. I know it's not an e-ink screen, but just from overall quality, the double OLED screen on the iPad is going to be unmatched, unrivaled by any other device. But when you look at the e-ink devices, I think that the Supernote Manta and the Boox Note Max are tied. And they're both the devices that do not have a backlight of all the e-ink devices that I've got. So they don't have that layer that, you know, that extra layer between the ink and the, I guess, the user experience. And they're both really exceptional with that regard. So very high contrast, you know, very much a joy to look at and to be able to read on, be able to write on. It's just a unrivaled experience. I would say in the, or I gave number 3, which is actually because I've got 2 tied at number 2, to the Remarkable Paper Pro. I love the screen quality on the Remarkable Paper Pro. I mentioned about the backlight. I just love, I know people, I've heard or watched some videos or read some comments on Reddit where some people say that the Remarkable Paper Pro, that there's different screen quality based on what serial number you have and so on and so forth. But to me, this is just, the device is just, it's beautiful. It's just the right amount. I mean, to me, it's not a white screen, but it's a beautiful screen. So gave that the number 3, or actually technically number 4. And then in the 4th or the last place spot, I put the Note Air 4C, only because the Kaleido 3 screen in these devices, you know, it's very dark without a backlight. And when you do, you know, turn on the backlight, it's a very good experience. I keep my backlight on probably about 75% and just a little bit of the temperature there, not much. But you can see, like when you highlight some text or whatever, you can see a little bit of that screen door effect. I think it looks really cool though. It's not a detriment, but it may be for some people that it's not, you know, it's 150 dots per inch on color and it's 300 DPI on black and white. So there are some downsides to this. So that's why that device came in last place at number 4, because of the tie. So the next category is writing feel. Let's unveil this. So writing feel may surprise some people, but I really love the way that the Remarkable Paper Pro and their premium Stylus feel to write on the screen. It's got that very scratchy feel to it. It's got, you know, some people say that it's too slippery. I don't think that it's that way. I think it's got very good tactile feel for the writing. And this is one that I found when I bought this device that it made me want to write. I was journaling more than I care to admit, only because I just love to write on this device. So it's a solid number 1 for me as far as writing feel. Second place, and gosh, this was a very close second place. This really could have been a tie for number 1, but the Supernote Manta. The stylus that they provide with the ceramic nib, never wears out. The Feel Right 2 screen protector that they put on there is just, it's a stroke of genius as far as how they've made those two to work together so well. So that is a tremendous experience on this. I almost wish I would have tied those at number 1, but I felt like I liked the Remarkable Paper Pro just a little bit better. In the number 3 spot, I've got the Note Max. The Note Max is the screen just being so large. When you write on it, it does have a little bit of a, it's almost imperceptible, but it does have a little bit of a bounce to it. And that gives me a little bit of a, like I'm getting a tactile feedback on it. And then with the stylus, the stylus tips that come on a standard EMR type pen, it's just it's a pleasure to write on. And, it's the same with the Note Air 4C. It's just a little bit different. It's a smaller screen. It don't quite get that spongy feeling like I do in the Note Max, but still a great experience overall. And in the 5th place, I'd put the iPad for obvious reasons. It's a glass screen. I have done some things, and I'll share this in another video. I've done some things to my iPad to make it much better for writing feel. Probably more so than other people might have tried, but I'll share that in another video instead of taking up time here. But that's how those ranked. So handwriting aesthetics. How does my handwriting look? Does the device do anything actively or passively or to make it look better? I think absolutely in the #1 spot, this is the iPad Pro, and it's only because of their refinement for their handwriting. So if I'm writing on the iPad Pro, I'll just show you this, and I'm going to write sloppy. An example of writing. So you got the refined handwriting. You'll just see this change, and it took my horrible handwriting and made it pretty attractive. If I would have taken my time and write on this with the same care that I do usually, that would have come out even better. So I think from a handwriting aesthetics, nothing beats, and this is very specific to the Apple Notes app, but GoodNotes does something very similar. They call it stroke stabilization. And I haven't checked out any other apps as far as, what do they do to enhance your handwriting, but both of those work really well, and that takes the #1 spot for that reason. The Remarkable Paper Pro, I don't know if they have any kind of an algorithm built into their, or anti-aliasing or whatever they call it, to make your handwriting look better on this, but I find that I can write very naturally. I don't see any changes to my handwriting like you do on the iPad, but it makes my handwriting look very pleasing to me. And that's very, I guess that's very important to me. Aesthetics are very important. So I put the iPad or the Remarkable Paper Pro in the 2nd spot. In 3rd place, I gave that to the Manta, only because of the control that you get with this very fine tip pen and then the Feel Right 2 screen. You get very good control. Here's, with an alarm there, but here's an example of my handwriting. And, I have horrible handwriting, but this doesn't look too bad, I guess. I'm pleased with it overall. So, and I credit that to the Manta and the control that I have with the combination of the screen protector and this nib. And then I tied in 4th and 5th place for both of the Boox devices. I don't really see that they do anything to improve your handwriting or have any anti-aliasing. They may have. I'm not disappointed with my handwriting on either one of them because I do have good control. It's just not to the level of control that I have here. It doesn't, compete with the correction on the iPad or the feel that I get on the Remarkable Paper Pro or the Manta. So they had to be tied for 4th and 5th place there. So template support, and let me explain this real quick. So I use a lot of my own homemade templates, whether that be single page templates or a PDF template that I use like that. I use a 5,300 and some odd page hyperlinked PDF I talked about earlier. I don't use that as a template inside the device. I use that as either a note or just a PDF that I annotate on depending on the device that I'm using it on. But here specifically, I'm talking about the combination of that, but really how easy can you import templates and use either PNG files or PDFs as templates? Which one of them has the best features? So let me unveil this. So I give Boox the #1 spot, and I tied the Note Air 4C and the Boox Max there because I can take any PDF file that I've got, reasonably. I don't use that 5,000 page one, but I can take any PDF file that I want and I can import that into their Notes app as a true template. Not just writing on a PDF, but it's actually a template within their thing. So it doesn't have to be a PNG file. It can be whatever, it can be the PDF that I built, whatever app I chose to build it in. So I give that the #1 spot. I give the Manta and the iPad the #2 spot because both of them, you can pretty much do the same thing, maybe not as easily. I just love the way that the Boox does theirs more seamlessly, but it's pretty much easy on both the iPad and the Manta as well. And instead of, you remember when I had ties before, I would give the next available number to the device. So typically you would see this last place device, since I've used 1 and 2, I'd give Remarkable a 3. But their template support is so bad, I'm going to go ahead and put them at number 5. To get your own templates on there, you have to put your device into developer mode. You have to get some kind of a utility to be able to connect to the device and upload these templates. But then the next time you get a software update from Remarkable, your templates go away. So if I could give that a 10, I probably would. That's just not a good experience, and Remarkable needs to do better as far as that goes. So the next category is search, being able to search your notes, your handwritten notes. And let's see how we came out here. So I gave the iPad the number 1 spot on that because regardless of if I'm using GoodNotes or using Apple Notes or several other apps that are out there, handwriting recognition and search is so lightning fast. It's it's incredible that it's able to find your handwriting across a ton of documents, even my 5,000 page PDF document, virtually instantly. And that's really hard to beat in any of the other e-ink devices that we have here. So I did give the number 2 spot to the Note Air 4C and the Note Max. I did some tests between that and the Manta. The Manta does recognition in the background. I think the Boox series does as well, but I went ahead and I pre-recognized some text on the Manta, and then I searched for the same thing across all 3 of these devices, and the Boox devices beat the Manta, which really, really, really shocked me. I thought the Manta was going to be quicker on that. But so I put the Boox devices in number 2, and I put the Manta in the number 3 spot. And then Remarkable, I should have given a 5 here as well, because it's the only one in this whole group that you can't do any kind of searching on unless you do tags, which to me doesn't qualify as searching for your handwriting. So when we talk about tags and keywords, let's go ahead and unveil here. So I gave the Manta the number 1 spot. I love their keyword feature that they have, and the fact that you can lasso anything. For example, I could lasso this keyword here, and I could, well, I'm sorry, this is a PDF. I can't do that. This is not handwritten. It's a static PDF. But anyway, you can circle it and you can create a keyword off of anything. It'll recognize it. It'll add it to your list of keywords. It's just very seamless of how it does it. And then you can search those keywords as well. Just very, very simple to use. Remarkable Paper Pro, I love their tagging system. Even though I can't search the notes, I do love their tagging system. The only thing that they need to fix, in my opinion, is that they have to let you sort those tags in some way, alphabetically or some other way. It's very difficult when you have dozens or even hundreds of tags to be able to go through. I think they sort them in the most recent first, and it's not pleasurable to use, but they do search very quickly, and I love how they've implemented this. On both of the Boox device, I tied those at number 3. They do use tags as well. The tags are hidden. When you go into tag management, it's kind of hidden in a menu system, so it's not as readily available. And then the iPad, I guess it's not as intuitive when I'm comparing it to the Manta or the other devices, so that's how I rank those. From an outline and heading standpoint, let me get back over here. I gave the Manta the number 1 spot here. They do outlines, headings, keywords, tag or linking. They've got this down to a science. It's a joy to use. I'll show you in another video of what I did while I was out of town this week and how I organized all of my notes using all these functions. It was really just a pleasure to be able to do that. I gave the number 2 spot to both the Boox devices. Now that I'm looking at all this stuff, I probably could have just ranked one of the Boox devices instead of both, but I ranked those together at number 2 because of the ability to be able to add an outline or add pages to your outline in a document, as simple as just, long pressing on the screen and choosing to add that to your outline. I thought that was a very good implementation of that. The Remarkable Paper Pro and the iPad, I tied it at number 3. Remarkable Paper Pro really doesn't have any features like that. The iPad does. Maybe I'm being unfair to the iPad putting it at 3. Maybe I should have, or tying it with a Remarkable. Maybe the Remarkable should have been on a 4 or 5, but I just like the way that it's implemented on the Manta and the Boox devices better. So links to notes and files. I put the Supernote Manta in the number 1 spot, and there's a very good reason for putting that there and putting Boox tied at number 2. So this is a major gripe that I've got with the Boox, that the Manta, like I said, I've only had this one for 8 days, but the Manta seemed to solve. I'm going to show you real quick. I organize all of my notes into a table of contents, and this is a very sloppy looking. I tried to make a graphical table of contents, but this is one that I use for work. The way that you do it is you circle or you lasso something, and then you choose to make it a link, and it can be a link to another note. It can be a link to a different page in the same note, or it can be a link to the website or a website. These are all referencing a secondary table of contents. So this is my main table of contents, and like I'll go here, and then I'll have a secondary table of contents that lists out the notes that are on this device. I keep them in date order, and then I can go and click on that particular note and get that note opened and go from there. So I wanted to point out how the Supernote does it differently than the Boox devices. So as you can see, I'm able to stack my different links, one on top of the other, and then it's underlined and it's got the link icon out here, and that's a very good way of doing it. When you look at the way that it's done on the Boox Note Air and the Boox Max, I may not be able to show you this because I don't have one built, but I'll show you what it does. So let me just write something here. I'm gonna create a link. So I'm gonna lasso it. And I'm gonna come over here and create a link to let's do a link to a note. I'll just do some recent notes or some local notes and tie it to this one here and do this. And I'm just going to say icon only because I don't want all the text to the title, so I'll just do the icon only. So what it does is it puts a dotted line around your handwriting, and then it puts the link icon below it. So I can't stack my items like I do here. I can stack those pretty tightly. Here, this is using up another line unless I want to keep making this like a set of stairs going down the other way, or staggering it, which I don't think would be very aesthetically pleasing, and I am all about trying to make things as pleasing as possible aesthetically. So that's a frustration with the Boox. Not a deal killer, but certainly a frustration. Let me get back to my document. All right, so I put the Boox devices in number 2 because they do have that ability. The iPad also has that ability, just not something that I enjoy using a whole lot there. And then the Remarkable Paper Pro, you can't do it. It doesn't exist. The category number 12 is image insertion. So there's a lot of times, especially when I'm out in the field and I'm visiting remote locations, there's a lot of times, when I'm out there doing those things, I'm trying to learn about processes or, about SOPs and how things work and how we can make them better. So I'm talking to people, and a lot of times I need to take pictures and insert those into my notes. So I wanted to outline here which devices work best for this. So absolutely in the number one spot is the iPad. First of all, you got the camera on the back. You can take a picture and insert it into your note immediately. So it's really hard to beat the iPad from an image insertion standpoint. But both of the Boox devices have the ability to insert images if you can get them to the device. So for example, if I'm carrying my phone with me, I'll take the pictures on my phone. I'll send them to the Boox assistant, or I can just email them, whichever way, get them over to the device, and then I can insert the image into the note that I'm working on. So it does have that ability to do it, and works very well. The Manta and the Remarkable Paper Pro require a lot of gymnastics to be able to get images into the device, so much so that I don't try to do it. It's when I need to be in the field and I know that I'm going to be taking pictures, I take an iPad or I take one of the Boox devices, and typically it's the iPad. So third-party cloud integration is next, if I can keep from revealing other answers. So without a doubt, also the iPad takes the number one spot here. The iPad can connect to anything. It's just got, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of apps available in the App Store, and you can link to anything out there as far as cloud storage or email or calendars or whatever the case may be. It's just unrivaled as far as being able to connect to any kind of third-party cloud services. The Boox devices also, from an Android standpoint, also are able to connect to virtually anything where the app is available. They do so almost as good as the iPad, I would say. It's a very good experience on them as well. The Manta is going to come in second to last here. You can hook to your Gmail account or your Microsoft account for email. You can do so for calendar. As far as getting data, two-way sync of data, that's kind of what it's limited to for the most part. And then the Remarkable Paper Pro, you do have the integrations that you can do cloud services, Dropbox or OneDrive is what I happen to use, but it's limited to just files only. PDF Annotations is next. So PDF Annotations, I absolutely give to the Note Max as the number one device, and it's simply because of this massive screen size. The thing is absolutely a joy to use with any kind of a PDF file, where you need to be able to see it clearly, and not have to zoom in and out. This thing is the device to use for that. As I mentioned earlier, the contrast is absolutely stunning. It's absolutely the number one device for this out of this group of devices. The Note Air 4C, I would give the number two spot, mainly because it's color and it's also a Boox device. And it's also a joy to use for annotations. The writing on it is very good. I mentioned earlier, I give those pretty close, but the Max takes the number one spot because of the size. 3 is the Remarkable Paper Pro because of the size, because of that beautiful screen, the writing feel. Getting PDFs into the Remarkable Paper Pro is the absolute. It may be the easiest of all the devices. You can drag and drop stuff to its website, or use the Remarkable app on any device, phone, Android, iOS, it doesn't matter. Writing on the PDFs is a joy, just because writing on it is a joy. And I gave the iPad the number 4 spot, not because it's bad. This one was really hard to rank. I guess PDF Annotations really ties back into the writing feel, is the reason I put that so low. And then the Manta, I just, just the size and the, I can't remember why I put the Manta at number 5. I had a good reason when I did it, but it's been about a week ago. I'll come back to that one, I think. Organization. Let's open this one up here. Without a doubt, I give this one to the Manta. And when I'm talking about organization, I'm talking about organization of your notes. And you saw what I had created in the Manta as far as the main table of contents, where each one of those things went to a secondary table of contents, and then each one of those went to an individual file. The keywords, the headers, the links, just make this the absolute #1 device in my book as far as organization goes. It's followed by both of the Boox devices. They have, the outlines that we mentioned before. They also have the links. Just a really good organization system exists there. The iPad is very similar in that, in some of the app, you can virtually find an app to do whatever you want it to do in whatever manner you want it to do it. So that's available as well. And then the Remarkable Paper Pro is just simply a nested folders organization type system, unless you use a hyperlinked PDF like I do. And then, when you use a hyperlinked PDF on a device like the Remarkable, it takes away a lot of the feeling that you're limited on that device, because that hyperlinked PDF, if it's built correctly, actually feels like you're working inside of an app that you really never have to leave. So it does come in the 4th place just because it doesn't have very much native organization in there at all. So import export is next. So I give the Remarkable Paper Pro the #1 spot on import export. And I'll explain why. So I mentioned just a few minutes ago that you can easily get PDFs onto your Remarkable Paper Pro via any device that you've got. And it's seamless. It syncs almost instantly. You can do it via a web browser if you wanted to do it that way. So importing is very easy. But beyond that, exporting. The Remarkable Paper Pro is the only device that I found up until now that when you export a hyperlinked PDF from the Remarkable Paper Pro with annotations, you don't have to jump through any hoops. You don't have to select any options. You just export that file, and it's gonna retain all of your annotations. It's gonna retain all of your hyperlinks, and that makes the Remarkable Paper Pro, it gives it huge. If I could give that 0.01 to make that lesser score, because less is better on this, I would certainly do it. That is huge for me. The iPad, I can do that through GoodNotes, but I have to use a third-party app like I use PDF Expert. As long as I export in the correct manner from GoodNotes and I send it to PDF Expert first, PDF Expert somehow or another retains the annotations, actually the hyperlinks, and then I'm able to move that to other devices as I see fit. Without PDF Expert, I don't retain the hyperlinks in there. The Supernote Manta also does a very good job of retaining hyperlinks when I export there. I was very pleasantly surprised to see that. But in the 4th spot for both the Note Air 4C and the Note Max, I know Boox is still developing some of their software as far as PDF annotations and hyperlinks and stuff like that. But I really, really, really wish they would implement retaining hyperlinks when you export a file, because I would love to be able to use that large hyperlinked PDF file between all of these devices. And once I get it on the Boox devices, if I ever try to get it back off, I'm dead in the water as far as being able to jump. When you got 5,300 and something pages, you need those hyperlinks to stay in place. So Boox really needs to get on the ball as far as that goes. All right, so my 17th category is subjective joy to use. This is really just my opinion about how much do I enjoy using each one of these devices. So I'll say before I let this go, and I may just go ahead and let it go and cover it up. So I will say, of course it's subjective. I enjoy using every single one of these devices, and at one point or time throughout my month, I'm carrying each one of these devices at least for a day or two with me to work, and it's my driver for that day. So if something comes in 5th place, that's not to say that it's a bad device. So let me reveal my rankings here. So subjective joy to use is the Remarkable Paper Pro. It is just so simple. It's so wonderful to write on. I love the look and feel of the screen. It's very responsive to the touch. I know on the Boox devices and even on the Manta, you know, like trying to type on the keyboard or sometimes typing in my passcode at the beginning is very spotty at best. The Remarkable Paper Pro registers all of my touches, all of my pen input, 100% of the time without any kind of a hiccup at all. So I give that my #1 joy to use. The Supernote Manta I've only had for 8 days, but without a doubt, it is my #2 joy to use device. This thing is just so well thought out I mentioned from the hardware, how thin and light it is, the software and all the organization features that they put in there, how they make it where you can just, you know, lasso something and make it a to-do or a calendar item, the star system, so many things. That is, you know, from a feature standpoint, it blows away the Remarkable Paper Pro, and you'd think that I would have it in the 1st place spot. And after a while, it may actually take the 1st place spot. I'm not sure, but right now, I have it as #2 just because of how much the Remarkable Paper Pro keeps drawing me back to it. From a 3rd place standpoint comes the Note Air 4C. I love the color on this device. I love the size of the device. It's perfect for reading. You know, I do read in bed sometimes on this device. It's love the backlight on the screen. It's a pleasure to write on. It's got, you know, I can do everything on this that I can do on an iPad almost. You know, it's certainly not good for video or those types of things, but just really enjoy this device a lot. In the #4 spot, I've got the iPad. The iPad does so much, and you would think that that would be in the #1 spot, but there are some downsides to it. You know, I love the screen. I do love the screen. I've done some things for the writing feel that have really helped me on that. I'll share it in another video. And, you know, I can do anything on the iPad. And I typically take the iPad as a secondary device. If I'm going to take the Remarkable Paper Pro or the Manta, and I want to have a fully capable device, you know, including video and video calls and, you know, access to everything at work, it would be like I would take the Manta and the iPad or the Remarkable Paper Pro and the iPad. Typically when I take the Boox devices, I usually have my laptop or something where I don't need the iPad. But that's why that one comes in the #4 spot. The #5 spot I'm giving to the Note Max only because, you know, I mentioned before, it is giant, it's big, and it's great as a desk device and as a reading device. It's not great to hold in your hand and use, but it is, even though, you know, I mentioned, even if a device comes in the #5 spot, that's not to say that that device is not a joy to use, because it actually is. And the Boox Note Max, I highly recommend. I highly recommend every device on this list. That's why I've got them. So anyway, so let's finally get down to the score. If I take out this subjective joy to use, let's see what the score is going to be. And remember, lower is better. The lowest score is the best ranking according to my subjective use case. And let me undo that because I have revealed some things I shouldn't have revealed there. So, in the #1 spot is the Supernote Manta. Very interesting for me because it's the newest device. I said in my previous video I didn't think I'd like it, but I ordered it anyway. I'd put off ordering it for a long time. Very surprised at how I ranked this thing in all of these categories and that it came in at the #1 spot. Also very surprised that and I don't know if I'm really surprised at this or not, but the iPad came in the 2nd place. Being a non-e-ink device, I tend to gravitate towards the e-ink devices. But the iPad just does so many things, and you know, I've modified it to be able to write on it and enjoy that a little bit better. So surprising that came in second. In third place, we've got the Note Max. You know, I just said from a joy to use, it was number 5. But if I take that out, it comes in third place. And it's a great device. It deserves to be in third place. Fourth place is the Remarkable Paper Pro. I was very surprised by that. You know, it is a limited feature device in that it's mainly just a note taker, and it can do some limited EPUBs and PDF reading and stuff like that. But it's relatively limited on the feature set. But I love it. I love the Remarkable Paper Pro. So, you know, it coming in fourth place was a little bit of a surprise to me. And then the Note Air 4C coming in fifth place. Yeah, I guess I'm just surprised at how the rankings turned out. But let's go and let's see how this subjective joy to use impacted the numbers. If you may be watching the video and have already done the math and figured out how it's done that. But the Manta still comes in first place. The iPad still comes in second place. The Remarkable Paper Pro comes in third instead of the Note Max. The Note Max comes in fourth instead of the Remarkable Paper Pro. And then still in fifth place, we've got the Note Air 4C. So I will say, and let me go ahead and reveal the overall rankings here. So without the subjective, there's how they rank. And with the subjective in there, here's how they rank overall. So, you know, I know that this is just me, and I know that there's a lot of things for people to argue about in here. And maybe some of the things I'm wrong about, and I would encourage you to tell me in the comments so that I can be better educated on maybe some of my shortcomings as far as the knowledge of these devices. But up here, I want to reveal what I ranked these things in my head prior to going and ranking each one of the categories, just saying how I thought that they would come out. And I said the Manta I thought would be 1, and it did. I thought Remarkable Paper Pro would be 2, and it was not. It was number 3 in one and 4 in the other. I thought the Note Air 4C would be number 3 just because I like using it as much as I do. But in my rankings, it came out number 5, so a little bit of a surprise there. I thought the iPad would come out number 4. It came out number 2. Really surprised me on that. And then I thought the Note Max would come out number 5, and it came out number 3 and number 4 there. So these were just my impressions before ever starting to rank anything here. So anyway, those are my comparisons. Those are my rankings. Your mileage may vary. It's just my opinion, and you know, I'm sure that everybody feels differently than I do about some of these categories, or even all of these categories. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching the video. Look for a couple of videos I've got coming up soon. One is going to be on that iPad Pro and how to make it more like an e-ink tablet. I'll try to get that one out soon. But if you would, please hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you'd really help my channel. I'm new and starting out. I would love to get the subscriptions up and be able to grow the channel. So once again, thanks for watching. See you soon.